You are now listening to the Gospel of Alex. Alex, drop those scriptures. Church is in session.
He federal as fuck.
Ooh, yeah, big ass. Big ass.
Yeah.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Shout out to the Elite Fleet. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can become a member of Elite Fleet. And I want to talk about that disturbing video that y'all just witnessed. That's right, that lady was given a blunt, passing the Dutchie on the left-hand side to children. And you guys have to understand, if you watch that video, it's pretty obvious that this is not the first time those kids have hit a joint. That little boy hit that joint like he's been on this planet before, like he born again. Like he's like, that's my second trip on this earth and I'm gonna get it right. He hit that blunt like, I've been waiting to be reborn just so I can get a hit of this good spliff. He blew it out through his nose. All those kids smoked that blunt like this was not their first time. Now, I want to say this was the babysitter, not the mother. I repeat, this was the babysitter, not the mother. And she did get charges, thank God. They did press charges on her. She did get charges for this. But this video supports what I tell you guys a lot of the time when I talk about how it's very important that you do not have kids until you're in a financial position to take care of them. Because I'm not going to bash the mother. Everybody wanted to bash the mother. It's bad enough that they thought it was the mother who was giving them the blunt, and it wasn't. It was the babysitter. But the next thing people will say is, oh, well, why did she have that lady babysitting the kids? Or who was this lady? At the end of the day, I understand as a parent, and this is why I tell you guys it's better to be in a good financial position before you have kids, because at the end of the day, the average daycare is $600 to $1,200 a week, not a month, a week. So a lot of people have to cut corners. We don't know what that lady's situation is. All those kids look like they're just about the same age. All right, we don't know if all those kids are one lady's kids. She could be running a babysitting business. What you guys gotta understand is there's big money in babysitting. There's huge money in babysitting. So a lot of times, especially in the hood, but even in the suburbs, what they'll do is they'll have someone on the block who's like Aunt Tina or Big Mama Shirley or, Grandmama Simone or something like that. And they'll send all the kids to her and she'll undercut the prices of daycare. So she might only charge you like $100 a week or $150 a week. But there's like 20 rugrats running around in there. And in this case, these kids are smoking weed. But in a lot of cases, these kids are getting touched, all right? These kids are getting abused. Like, and there's videos, and this is not a race thing. Like, I know it was a black woman in the video, but like I said, this happens in the suburbs. This happens across all races, okay? We done seen babysitters stepping on kids' backs, all right? And then I posted a video already of the white girl who is showing her boobs to the kids in the pool. So y'all gotta understand, whenever your kids are in a situation where they're not around you, they are pretty much in danger. And this is why I pump up having a housewife. This is why I pump up being in a financially secure position where you can sacrifice and take care of your whole family. This is why I pump up a woman being okay with leaving her job for about 5 or 6 years until her kids get to a certain age, preferably school age, because this is what happens. This is what happens. And like I said, I'm not going to knock the girl because she probably couldn't afford a traditional daycare. Okay, just like most people listening to this, like Alex, we can't all afford housewives. And I understand that too, but you can work it out in other ways. First of all, the problem is most of y'all say, okay, well, I'll just have my family watch the kid. And I've told you guys before, and I'm going to say it again. Every grandma's going to say before that kid comes out, I'm going to be with my grandbabies all the time. Grandfather, I'm going to be with my grandbabies all the time. And that's all fine and good. But at the end of the day, once that baby's born and that baby starts shitting through the diaper, that baby starts throwing up all over the place, that baby starts waking you up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, especially if you have to work the next day, they're going to eventually be like, hey, I can't do this no more. You need to get a daycare or you need to find a babysitter. So your parents are not a reliable form of watching your kid unless your parents are retired. If your parents are retired and that's literally their only job, as long as they're still functional, you know, they don't have Alzheimer's or anything like that, then that might work out, right? But if your parents are still working, you cannot rely on them to watch your kid consistently. You're going to have to find someone else. And unfortunately, family is the number one people who sexually abuse and or physically abuse kids as well. You know, cousins, the uncle, the aunts. So if it's not direct family, right? If it's not your sister, your brother, or your mother, a lot of the times you can't really trust family either. So you have to go out to daycares and all these other things. So what I want you guys to understand is, if you cannot afford to put your woman in a position where she could just be home 24/7, then what you need to do is, do not use the neighborhood Big Shirley's. Do not use Aunt Connie, okay? Do not use the Consuela on the block. Don't use any of these. Don't use the girl on the block who got all the kids, but she gets Section 8, so she watch all the kids. Don't use any of those, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a massive bunch of kids coming from all different types of environment and places. You don't know what's going on with those kids, what they've been taught, and you don't know what that lady's doing either. It's too risky. If you're going to have a babysitter for your kids and you're not going to use a traditional daycare and you want it to be a little bit cheaper, which, like I said, if you can't afford a housewife and your parents aren't retired, you're most likely going to have to get a daycare. And if you can't afford daycare, you're going to have to get some type of a babysitter. You guys need to go to care.com. I repeat, you guys need to go to care.com. If you go to care.com, what it's going to do is it's going to put a registry in front of you. All of these people have taken proper training, okay, and gotten the training that they need to be certified to watch your kids in the first place and understand the health risk and the inspections and the rules and regulations of babysitting kids. But even deeper than that, they've had background checks. Not only have they had background checks to make sure they don't have a history of abuse or they're not criminals or anything like that, they also have reviews, certified reviews from people who have used them before. So it's a lot safer to use care.com and get yourself a babysitter out of that if you cannot afford the cost of traditional daycare, if you cannot afford the cost of and you don't have a family member who could watch the kids for you. So care.com, use care.com, okay? And use a daycare if you have to. Now, like I said before, the best solution is to have a housewife. The best solution is to have a woman who's willing to take a couple of years off, okay, or some time off until the kids get to a certain age where you can put them at least in pre-K. You can put them in a more controlled environment, right? And for you to work hard enough and be willing to sacrifice and work the overtime if you don't just make that money traditionally to be able to do that. Like I tell you guys all the time, I know it seems like a lot, but then you're like, everybody wouldn't be able to have kids. Everybody shouldn't have kids. I repeat, everybody shouldn't have kids, right? So it seems like a lot, but that's the best thing. But I realize, like I said, that everybody's not going to be able to utilize that solution. So your next best thing, care.com. If your parents are not retired and they can't watch your kids 24/7, you go to care.com, get you a certified babysitter who's had the background check, who has done the training, and you hire them to watch your kids. But do not use the neighborhood Consuela, do not use the neighborhood Shirley, do not use the Aunt Tiana's or any of those little neighborhood, you know, hole in the wall. I got a house over here and I run a daycare and I buy snacks from Family Dollar and I'm running a daycare over here. I know it's cheaper, I know at times it's hard, I know we're dealing with inflation, but these are the type of things that happen when you put your kids into that situation. All right, so this is one of those videos where, again, we talk about relationships, we talk about marriage, and along with that comes kids. So this isn't going to be a viral video. This probably is not going to be a video that's that popular, but at the end of the day, it's very good information, and it's information you guys need to hear. If you cannot afford a traditional daycare, care.com, that's where you need to go. All right, care.com. I would not use family that's not immediate family, aka your brothers, your sisters, or your mothers. Statistics say you're still at a high risk using those. All right, so you need a certified, real, legit LLC, Better Business Bureau daycare, or you need to use care.com and get you a certified babysitter to watch your kids. If you cannot afford that, right? If you already have the kids, you're going to have to make that work, in my opinion, because that's the only way to ensure your kids' safety. If you're watching this and you don't have kids, you're like, damn, I can't afford that, then that means you need to grind harder. That means you need to work harder. Grind harder or work harder. Now, before somebody says it, if you're a woman and you have the means, by all means, have your man stay in the house. But I know 9 times out of 10, you guys aren't going to be willing to do that. So that's why I'm saying you stay in the house, because I know if the man has the means, most of the time you'll be okay staying in the house to watch the kids until they get up a certain age, and he'll be okay taking care of you. Most of the time, you're not going to be okay with him staying in the house and taking care of the kids while you're working. But if you are, you can do that too, before somebody even says it in the comments. And somebody probably already said it in the comments. But guys, it's very important that you pay attention to who's babysitting your kids. All right? I'm telling you guys, you have no idea how important having a housewife is. And again, like I said, if you can't get a housewife, having retired parents or someone who's in your immediate family to watch your children is. Daycares are already risky. Nurseries are already risky. But doing that makeshift babysitter stuff, it's not worth it. No makeshift babysitters. Do not use makeshift babysitters, all right? I am Alex, and I am out. Peace.